At the Roadside by Jacob Tallon. It had really only been a matter of time. After all, it was a high-risk game to be in. Gideon was not an honest person. He was a highwayman, quite good at it too. He was smart enough to always hide out of sight in ditches and hedges, and smart enough to tell the difference between those who had money and those who had not. He would first blind the driver with a handful of dirt, then kill the horses, causing the carriage to topple over. The passengers inside were so confident that they rarely carried any weapons to defend themselves, and those who did couldn't use them well enough. This was Gideon's road, and he let them know it. None of his acquaintances at the local tavern suspected a thing, though he noted, with no small degree of amusement, that in their eyewitness accounts the highwayman was a 7-foot-tall giant with strength of 10 men. He was, in fact, slightly shorter than most, and cunning rather than strong. He knew his strengths, but more importantly, the weaknesses of his victims. This particular week had been a bad one for him. He got into a fight in the tavern. The man he'd beaten in spite and humiliation then went and killed Devil, Gideon's horse. It's difficult to get a good horse. One that could sense not to make noise, had good endurance. Devil had been bought from a breeder who knew better than to ask questions, especially with the amount of gold he was receiving. Then, on Sunday. Miserable day, torrential rain and a cold breeze. Bad day to be a highwayman. Sunday was the day the families left their country houses, headed back to the city. But today, there were only poor merchant carts going by. Gideon only targeted those who could afford it. He was about to write the day off when something in the distance caught his eye. A carriage with gold leaf. A definite jackpot. One more pompous old fool hoarding money that they didn't really need. As the carriage got nearer, he saw it had 2 drivers, plus a guard on the roof. Gideon waded in the ditch with his sword and a handful of dirt. He would first attack the guard, throw dirt in the eyes, then gut him, before jumping down to kill the 2 drivers. Then he would see to the horses and get to work inside the carriage. In theory, the plan was fine. It had worked perfectly on numerous other occasions, but this time, when Gideon was on top of the carriage, things started to go wrong. Though the dirt was thrown in the guard's eyes and Gideon's sword thrust in the man's chest, it met a jarring resistance. The guard was wearing metal armor under his clothes. Yet, Gideon eventually dispatched him, but less quickly and more noisily than he would have liked. The drivers, too, had weapons, but they hadn't fought in pairs, and inevitably one fell, then the other. This done, Gideon killed the horses. He paused, catch his breath. He approached the carriage door. He had done the hard part. The rest would be easy, or so he thought. But as he opened the door, he saw that the carriage contained not wealth nor civilians, but 8 Royal Guard soldiers, and among them his bitter rival, Anders. As a child, it had been Gideon's dream to join the Royal Guard. He and Anders were recruited at the age of 10, securing a good future for themselves and their families. Anders was made leader of the group. Gideon was jealous because of this, and lashed out at his one-time friend, scarring his face. And now, there it was, that scar, all those years later. The other guards threw Gideon to the ground, and Anders stood over him with a sword and pressed it to Gideon's throat. "Get up, so I can repay you for what you did to me all those years ago." Slowly, Gideon reached for his sword nearby, got to his feet. Though Anders had more formal training, Gideon knew that he had to strike first and hard. He brought his sword up fast and sliced clean through Anders' wrist. The hand rolled away. Anders stared in shock and disbelief at the bleeding stump. Two of the other guards quickly grabbed Gideon, while another tore cloth to bandage Anders' bleeding wound. Anders came up to Gideon, and with a dagger cut the same mark into Gideon's face that had been inflicted on him all that time ago. Gideon awoke to the sound of a cheering crowd. A noose was placed over his head, then down on his neck, and tightened. He was in pain everywhere. A man gestured for him to stand. The crowd became quieter. The rope tightened. The crowd went totally silent. A figure in a long white cloak and white mask walked to the dangling Gideon, and with a dagger cut the rope, and Gideon fell free. Gideon quickly got to his feet, but before he could speak, the voice behind the mask said, "Go!" and pointed to a path through the crowd which the royal guard had created. Gideon was hesitant. "Go! Now!" the voice insisted. Gideon stumbled from the platform and made his escape through the path prepared. He ran as fast as he could and dared not look back, but continued all the while thanking whatever God existed for his good fortune that he was still alive. When he had felt sufficiently safe, he stopped to catch his breath. And it was at that moment he realized that the Saviour in the white cloak and mask was Anders, the man who had once been his bitter rival.